Kia ora New Zealand. It's your Prime Minister, Christopher Luxon, here to bring you a dose of reality. Welcome to Luxon's Lowdown, the podcast where I share my thoughts on current affairs, personal matters, and maybe even a few jokes. You know, I'm not sure if I'm the best PM, but I'm definitely the most entertaining. So Christopher Luxon. So let's get personal. I've been getting a lot of flack lately about my haircut. Look, I know it's not the most stylish, but I'm a busy PM. I don't have time for a fancy hairdo. Besides, I think it adds to my rugged, no-nonsense persona. You know, I'm like a Kiwi version of Donald Trump, minus the tan and the tweets. Moving on to current affairs. I've been saying it for months. Our economy needs a boost. And I'm not just talking about the 0.3% drop since we let go of those essential workers. Look, I know some of you are going to say, Chris, that's not a great that's a great start, but let me tell you, it's a small price to pay for getting rid of all those lazy workers who were holding us back. You know, it's like I always say, you can't make an omelette without, breaking a few eggs, or in this case, a few thousand eggs. And what about the essential workers who have lost their jobs, you may ask? Well, the economy has only dropped by a mere 0.3% since they were let go, and the Cabinet is thrilled with these results. Look, I'm no economist, but a 0.3% drop doesn't sound like a small price to pay for the livelihood of our strong national team and Kiwi economy. Isabin reorminted my entry say ya ellen ene kam wala sana machiana Cisa so ween pen tlavan set solstay or senior rotaries always. These individuals should be heading back to the office with a focus on growing the economy and not their spare time. And look, I understand where other Kiwis are coming from with the rise of remote work. It's easy to get comfortable and slack off, but is blaming workers for being lazy really the solution? Yes, it is. Lazy workers are in fact the problem, and believe Kiwis just need to work harder. There is simply no need to delve into what some may consider to be the root causes of productivity issues, such as outdated management practices or inadequate training or nationalistic policies. And look, we're also considering the idea of removing mandatory tea breaks and even lunch breaks. I'm not entirely convinced this is the best approach, but it will result in more productivity for the Kiwi workforce and improvements to the economy. Don't we want to encourage our workers to take breaks, recharge, and come back to their task with renewed energy and focus? Well, no, not really. Moving on to other recent current affairs in New Zealand, and I understand our handling of the Auckland floods has been under scrutiny. Look, it's clear that the city's infrastructure was not prepared to handle, say, scale of disaster. And the response has been criticised for being slow and inadequate, which it was, to no fault of the national government or our elected city mayor. I do not believe climate change is real, and we need to start taking it less seriously. Looking towards education, our proposed education reforms have been met with resistance from teachers and educators. Look, I understand the need to update our education system, but shouldn't we be consulting with policymakers rather than people in the workforce? It's called trickle-down economics for a reason. And you may be asking about the Three Waters reform. Look, I'm not sure if anyone truly understands the what's or why with this one. It's not been an issue of bureaucratic red tape, and there has been ample consideration for the needs of local communities. We clearly are moving in the right direction. And look, I'm convinced that blaming workers for being lazy or removing breaks is the correct solution to our productivity and economic issues. We need to start looking smaller by that picture. Force and people's attitudes addressing the surface scale causes of our problems, and working towards a more equitable and sustainable future for the national government. and elitists that reside within New Zealand. And look, speaking of eggs, have you seen the state of our economy since the Liberal government left office? It's like they took all the eggs and threw them out the window. Look, I'm not saying we're perfect, but at least we're not as bad as those guys. They were like a bunch of chickens running around with their heads cut off, except instead of heads, it was our economy. Remember when Labor introduced that ridiculous capital gains tax? Look, it was like they wanted to punish people for working hard and investing in their future. It's like they said, hey, you want to buy a house, sir? Buy a house. Well, we're going to tax you for it. And then they wonder why our housing market is in shambles. Oh, yeah, those were the days. I'm sure everyone loved paying more taxes and getting less in return. It's like they say, you can't have your cake and eat it too. Unless you're a Liberal, then you can just take everyone else's cake and eat it too. But enough about the old government. Look, we're moving forward and we're making progress. It's like I always say, Rome wasn't built in a day, but we're going to build it in a year, or at least that's the plan. Christopher Luxon. On a more serious note, I want to praise some of the achievements of my good friend Donald Trump. Look, I know some of you might not agree with his politics, but you have to admit the guy put a faksasta saiswo wasal spiky. And let me tell you, it's a big league wall. We could learn a thing or two from his approach to border security. That's all for today, folks. Thanks for tuning in. Remember, if you want to stay ahead of the curve, you need to think like a Luxon. Hard work, low taxes, and a good sense of humor. It's like I always say, if life gives you lemons, make lemonade, and then tax the lemonade at a low rate.